My name is Amy Seal and I am a speech and language therapist. I currently work at Oasis Special School and we assist with learners with severe intellectual disabilities. Speech and language therapist assesses, treats and manages individuals with speech, language, voice and swallowing disorders. We do this by starting the assessment process. This helps us determine what areas of difficulties or weaknesses the client may have. We then draw up a management plan to help determine what our timeline will be when it comes to what treatment approaches we will take and how long therapy will take. Therapy is typically between 30 and 45 minutes long, and homework is given afterwards so the carryover of the skill can be done. With babies, we could assist with the latching and the feeding and swallowing. With children, we work with children that have cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, autism, visual and hearing impairments, as well as TB meningitis. A big thing with children as well is epilepsy and seizures, because whenever a seizure occurs or attack occurs, brain functioning stops. So we really need to work hard with those type of learners. If I consider adults that have had strokes or any brain infarct, which would be as a result of a car accident, for example. Also adults that have locked-in syndrome or any other swallowing difficulties. Locked-in syndrome is a neurological syndrome that happens to children and adults. It's when cognitively everything is okay, the person is very aware of what is happening around them, they think that everything is perfect. However, they can't move a muscle in their body. They can't move their hand, they can't move their head, all they can move is their eyes. So while everything is happening around them, they cannot access it and they cannot tell anybody that they are conscious and aware of their surroundings. Well, that's a side of speech therapy called augmentative and alternative communication. So for non-verbal communicators, such as an individual in locked-in syndrome, they'll require alternative access to communicate. And this comprises of eye gaze, so they would have to look at various letters or look at the picture that they require. This can be done low-tech, so we can use paper or pictures, or this can be high-tech where we use laptops and other software. Augmentative and alternative communication is a very specialized field that looks at how to provide access to communication for non-verbal learners. We first try to augment their current communication system. So if they're currently just pointing at certain things, then we try to change this into more of sign language, which is like pointing but more sophisticated. If they're currently using single words, then we try to augment their communication so that they use two words together or sentences. If this just isn't the case, then we provide alternative means of communication. Alternative means could mean that they tried to speak before, it didn't work out for them, and now we're giving them a picture communication system. We're giving them a GoTalk, we're giving them a PEG system. So we first try to augment and then we try to give alternative communication. We look more at the physical act of communication, but when we talk about communication, we always talk about functional communication. So it must be functional for that individual. What I mean by that is that if you have a non-verbal communicator, it's not very functional or an attainable goal if you expect them to talk in full sentences by the end of 6 months, for example. What is more functional is for that individual to be able to say that they are hungry, they need the bathroom, or they'd like to go play. And by any means necessary. It doesn't need to be verbal, but they could also show you what they want. They could also show you in pictures, or they can take you to what they want. That is also functional communication. Yeah, that's definitely one of them, but more so that we just fix and rrrs all day long, and that's really not the case. We have such a diverse caseload, and I mostly spend time with learners with language barriers. They don't have the vocabulary, they can't build sentences, they can't speak fluently. That's really what I spend most of my time with. Another misconception is that we really just help children that stutter. I think of my 47 caseload, I only have one child that stutters. So really, it's not too much about misconceptions, but just not knowing the profession in general. And that's really why speech therapy is so important, because we need to advocate for our profession and we need to tell people, listen, that's not just what I do, there's a lot of other things that I do as well. Well, naturally, after my master's degree, I will be doing my PhD. I will be starting next year and it will be in the field of dysphagia. Dysphagia is the swelling that I was speaking about. So how do we look at dysphagia in terms of telemedicine? So in South Africa, we have lots of rural communities and we don't have therapists out there. So if we have telemedicine, then we can, overcome that barrier to access of therapy services. Yeah, cell phone, apps, and it could also be offline, so you don't necessarily need broadband or internet connectivity for it. In this session, we worked on the theme of the environment and transport. So what we were trying to teach him is the new vocabulary, such as parking, stop, and the different transport items. We also did colors, blue, red, white, all the primary colors included. We started working on plurals, so one circle, two circles, and we did some shapes. The basic shapes, square, circle, and the more advanced shapes like octagon. The importance of this is that some children have a language delay and they naturally don't acquire this type of vocabulary and these type of skills. So provide them with a play opportunity to learn these skills, which they should have really learned when they were younger. My name is Amy, and I'm a speech therapist.